And I think anybody who's grown up in either the country or semi-rural area, there's always the stories of don't go down that road, or, oh, those old woods are haunted, or grandpa tell you, you can hunt on the east side of the mountain, but don't hunt on the west side of the mountain. Why? Just because I said so, don't hunt on the west side of the mountain. And you start looking at these historical encounters, the boogeyman reports, or the beast of this, or the monster of that, and you start looking at maps. Devil's Canyon, 8 Canyons, Devil's Slide, Devil's Playpen, Demon Ridge. Wow, why do they have such dark, grim names? Death Valley, Death this, Death that. And you're like, well, how come it wasn't Sunshine Ridge? Or, Flower Meadow, No, it was called Death Canyon for a reason. You start looking at it and you start looking at these things, and it's like virtually anywhere there is a substantial patch of woods. My rule is, if you see deer and you see water, it could possibly support a Bigfoot.
Yeah, I think there's a plethora of species that have been, discovered throughout the years, from new monkey species to, obviously, there's tons of ocean species get discovered every year. Some big mammals were discovered in Vietnam in the 90s. And, I think that gives me a lot of hope. In the Amazon, I also figure there's a species discovered every week, technically, a new species. Now, a lot of them are small, granted, There's no difference to me between discovering a new biological species of any kind and Bigfoot, because we're still dealing with, kind of same modality. I mean, we've explored what's percentage of the world, not as high as people think. A lot of these areas have been mapped from the air, but no one's been on the ground. There's a lot of open areas up there, especially if people don't realize, it's not like we don't know more about the wilderness today. Most people moving into cities, are moving away from living out in the woods or in the jungle.
It's very interesting. Up until very recently, we thought chimpanzees were mostly fruit eaters, and they found that they actually eat way more meat than we thought. Now, the vast majority of their diet still is fruit, but they also live in a very tropical climate where there is a lot of fruit and there is a lot of vegetable and plant matter. But they find they're eating a lot more meat than they previously thought.
There's not much in terms of having a DNA evidence. There's been some blood samples, but again, you can only correlate it to Bigfoot because it was allegedly left by Bigfoot, but you weren't there when it happened, right? But nonetheless, some of the hair samples, and not just here, but we've had some in China, that turn out to be primate, closely related to human, but not human. And that's as far as you can go. Because the way DNA works is there's a database, right, of all the known species, and all you can do is not, if it doesn't match, you have something new. But you can't identify it because you can't match it to anything. And since there's no official Bigfoot species in, officially biologically or in the DNA database, it comes back as unknown. But there's enough hair samples, and I think there's one blood sample, I believe, that was taken up way up north in, I think it was in Canada, that came up as, primate, non-human. And that's extremely intriguing. You still have to explain that.
What's going on is there's a bunch of stories of people who've shot these things over the years. And people have come out, the trucks have pulled up, the helicopters have landed, and they've disposed of the bodies. And people have said, if you know it's good for you, you saw a bear, or nothing happened here.
That clip's from our film Don't Call Me Bigfoot. Watch the whole movie on Tubi TV, Roku, Fossum, Plex, Amazon, and here on YouTube. Link is in the description.